So if you could see these beads close up, what you would see is that it's just a bead in the middle of every little chain stitch. So first I stitched the chain stitch row, and then I went back and added the little beads. You can add those beads with whatever sort of thread works for the beads that you have. I have a little sample chain stitch. I've got a few of them um, on this sample cloth. Here it is right here. In order to get that bead to land right here in the little hole each time, I come up at the base right here where the little V is and go down right before the next V. Again, you can use whatever thread you've got that will work for it. I love soie perlé as a beading thread. It's very shiny. Um, and if you're doing a decorative stitch, the soie perlé is great if you're going to see it. On this one, you're not going to see it. And I think when it came time for me to do this one, that I just used a navy sewing thread so that you wouldn't be able to see it in there. As far as what kinds of threads to use for beading, it kind of depends on the use. In my house, this mitten thing is not going to be a grandkid blanket. It's not going to get a ton of use. It's going to hang pretty on the wall. And because of that, I'm not worried about using a regular sewing thread, and these seed beads are not sharp edged. If I were using a bugle bead or something else with a sharp edge, I would need to be more careful about what thread I chose. Okay, so we're going to come up at the base of this little first chain right there. And then we're going to snag a bead that I'm going to pick one that I think you'll be able to see. And then just make sure we go back down at the top. Now, I wouldn't worry about getting these too close. The closer you're, try to keep them about as far apart as you can, because depending on how big your chains are, because then you don't have to worry about, they'll nestle in between the threads just fine. So we're going to head and go back out and see how that will nestle right there in between the threads. Come back out the next time at the base of the next V. I'm catching threads. There we go, out at the base of the next V. Pick another bead that I think you can see and go back down in. Now I've tried the turning around and coming right back out again, and it's really hard to not get too much of a gap there. So I always do this one a stabbity stitch way, with going all the way down in and all the way back up. The base of the next one, a bead you can see. Down at the top, pull it snug and it'll nestle in place. When you're securing off your beading thread, just make sure, because the weave of the wool is looser than perhaps something else that you've been stitching on, just make sure you secure that needle really tightly. So that's how you can put the beads in place on this mitten.